A young woman writes to the Lubavitcher Rebbe from Hollywood in California. And he says to her, well, I'm very pleased to note from your letter that you are a seeker, that you're wishing to find truth and personal fulfillment. And that in itself, by the way, he says, is half of the battle won, because for a person with such determination, you will definitely be able to attain your hopes and be able to reach the status which is fitting for a human being, for every human being, to be able to become a fulfilled human being who's found truth. You also have a great advantage that you have an untapped reserve of energy which belongs to the young, to the youth in general. So you're starting off on a good basis. He makes a few other prefatory remarks, and then he goes on to say, after the prefatory remarks, let me answer some of the main points of your letter. Although at first glance you may think some of my observations are extraneous, I trust that you'll study them carefully, because actually you will find an answer in the things which I'm going to tell you. Continues and says, we live in a society that is particularly polarized in the times that we're passing through now. And what is true of the world at large is also true of each individual human beings, who are influenced and driven by a bewildering array of forces, the intellectual, the emotional, the impulsive, the instinct, etc. As a consequence, human beings, individuals, are often driven in different directions at the same time, pulled in different directions, sometimes in opposite directions. And it's neither easy to find the right direction nor to follow the right direction, and to know which should be given priority over which. So we understand that there's enormous struggle, and particularly for young Americans at this point in time, and for young people today, it is a very big struggle to find one's way in the world. He said, just as in other areas, there are individuals who have already been through all of these conflicts, and there are individuals who have watched others going through the mill and have learned from their experience. And therefore, when a person finds himself at crossroads of the kind that you describe in your letter, the first thing to remember is you're not the first person to be in this position. Others have been there as well, and others are there as well. And therefore, there's no need to go through life the hard way, repeating the mistakes and experiments of others. Let me give a simple illustration. When it comes to treating any ailment, there's no need for the doctor to start from scratch, trying all the different kinds of medicines, because he has the benefit of trial and error. And there's proven results from the research. So you know what the best outcome is, and he can go directly to the best outcome instead of having to start from the beginning. And when you're talking about accumulated experiences, it also depends upon the number of individuals who have searched for this particular, taken this particular path, the backgrounds that they come from, etc. When an experience has been shared by many, many individuals from many, many different kinds of backgrounds, and they all reach the same conclusion, then there must be greater certainty that these conclusions are correct, because especially if the results have actually been able to be substantiated over a number of years. And then he says, in the light of the above, I consider it my duty as well as my privilege to convey to you with the fullest degree of certainty that insofar as any Jew is concerned, regardless of age, the right and the true path in life has been tried and tested for hundreds, in fact, for thousands of years, and it has been found to work. And it is called Torah Chaim, the Torah of life, being the source of and the guide to life, and the practical commandments by which a Jew lives in their daily lives. This is a proven system to work. He says, when there are two ways, when a person finds himself engaged in the quest for inner peace and harmony and a meaningful life, there are therefore only two ways. One is the hard way, that is to say, to try and undertake to find the truth on one's own, going first in one direction and then in another direction. But there's a risk there. The risk is that one's allotted span of life may not be sufficient for one to finally discover the right way. And there's the possibility that one might spend one's entire life in confusion and in pain, each time having taken a path only to discover that it leads to a dead end. or God forbid, even worse than that. The other way is to immediately accept the experience of others who have been through it all already and have ended up by finding the true path of our Torah, Torah Emet. And that is the path that I recommend to you. He then goes on to talk about layers, but we'll come to that on a second occasion.